everyone, my name is Natalusha, and today I'm going to show you a very fun, easy, and unique way to decorate Easter eggs. I'm sure you'll enjoy. The first of the two methods I'm going to show you today is called decoupage in Russian, and basically what you do is you tear little bits out of napkins, the bits that you like and the bits that you want on the egg and the ones you think are pretty, and then you take some white egg matter and you brush that on the egg as an adhesive, and then you brush on the portions of the napkin in whichever way you like it, and then you end up with something like this. For this, we will need some hard-boiled eggs, a 20 by 20 centimeter piece of saran wrap, 2 colors of nail polish. I'm using red and pearl, some toothpicks, and a container or cup filled with water. For reference, everything is room temperature. You can wrap it horizontally or vertically, and you can do it with the sharp side down or the thicker side down. So now what we're going to do is take our 4 corners and connect them in the center of the egg, and then we're going to lift like so, and you hold the egg in one hand and you pull the saran wrap around the egg. You just pull the saran wrap so that it extends because it's soft and pliable, and it's actually pretty fun to work with. It's very nice texture actually, and so you keep your thumb on the side of the egg where you're trying to keep everything down and then extend to that point. So then you have it all very tightly wrapped around. It's almost like shrink wrap. And then you're going to twist the egg a few times so that it holds well, like I'm doing here. And then you're going to end up with a nice little pigtail like so. So a common problem that you may have is to try and wrap it, but then it falls and it rolls away because it's an egg on saran wrap. And this is an issue. We don't want this. So all you have to do is take a tiny little cup or a bowl or container, about this size, something that'll hold an egg, put the saran wrap on top, and lay the egg inside. And then you can wrap it very easily. And now that you have it around the egg, you can just stretch it and kind of makeshift shrink wrap it normally, and it'll work. The convenient thing about this method is that the saran wrap actually stays on the egg, so even though we cut off the tails eventually, the saran wrap stays on. And so now we're going to start by taking our container with water and pouring a generous amount of nail polish into it so that it spreads out like this, and then we're going to take the other color and dip one inside, and we want the initial layer to spread out across the whole surface of the cup. And then we're going to alternate drops of nail polish like so, and it's best to use new nail polish or newer nail polish, because if you use some that you've already had for a while, it'll be really hard to use. Because we want it to be very liquidy. And so now we're going to take our toothpick and we're going to go from the center outward and then from these cavities inward, like I'm doing here. So you can take inspiration from my designs in this video or make your own. The possibilities are basically infinite. Make sure that when you're making the design with your toothpick, the initial 4 sides stick to the edge of the container, and whenever you do each stroke, dip in the center so that it creates a definite point. Now we're going to take our wrapped egg and we're just simply going to sink it all the way to the base of the tail into our water here with the nail polish. So now the design is going to be transferred onto the saran wrap, and here you can either hold it in and wait until the nail polish on top solidifies and then collect it with a toothpick, or you can just kind of take it out. It's important to use very liquidy nail polish, and on the first layer you don't have to just drip, you can basically pour it in so that it spreads out quickly. If you're into something a little more abstract, or if your initial design just kind of gets screwed up, then what you can do is you can actually take your toothpick and swirl it around, and it'll still be really pretty. It'll be like super abstract, very Picasso. And then you can also take your egg and swirl it around in there to make it even more crazy, if that's your cup of tea. For a much more detailed explanation on this specific method, you can reference the links that I have left down in the description on some of my older videos where I covered this topic way more in depth, so please check them out. You can dip the egg in vertically, horizontally, or whatever direction you really want, and it'll be different each time, depending on what you do. And it's actually not necessary to use gloves, but you can if you want to, because you're not actually putting the egg in there. You don't have to touch the nail polish unless you're being messy. When handling the egg, whether dipping it or hanging it to dry or handling it all, it's always best to use the little tail out of saran wrap, because if you get your fingerprints on them, it might actually show up on the design. Right here we're changing the base color to our white pearl. So now most of the egg will be a pretty pearlescent shiny, and the red will be the accent color. You can play around with colors as much as you want. Even though it is silvery white, like an egg would be, it's going to make it all very shiny and pretty, so don't be scared to use pearlescent colors. Just make sure they're not gels or something really thick. It's best to hang up the egg to dry by the tail before you try to look at your beautiful design. So once everything drips off and once it dries, then it would be safer to look at your design. And see, we have them all in a little drying rack like this, and you can either lay them down like this on the top of the rack, or you can pin them with clothespins by their tails. So now once our eggs are all dry, we can actually cut off the tails, and the saran wrap won't come apart because we stretched it onto the egg, so it's just going to stay there. And it's not difficult to take off, but it's also not easy to just kind of let it fall off, because it doesn't just fall off on its own. And so look at all of our really pretty eggs. We got these really pretty swirly designs. Some of them are, you can't really see the pearly shine on the camera, but it is really pretty. So this one here, very abstract, and some of them are a little more uniform, like this one with the flower on it. So you can really do a lot of different designs, and it's really no matter what you do, whether you swish it around in there, swish the toothpick around, swish the egg around, if it didn't work out, it'll still be pretty. And here are our beautiful masterpiece eggs that you can have as well if you follow this method or experiment on your own. They look like traditional Russian Easter eggs. And so look what we have here. We have our pretty eggs, and when you actually want to eat one of the eggs, you just take where the tail is and you kind of dig under the little area where you cut off the tail with your fingernail, or just kind of pull on it, and it'll come off like this, really easy. And none of the nail polish actually got on the egg or inside the egg or any of that stuff, so it's perfectly organic and healthy and ready to eat. And so here I'm going to open another one of our happy little Easter eggs, and it's really easy to do, and it's actually kind of satisfying to see it peel off, and especially to kind of feel it peel off, and the feeling of kind of re-stretching the stretched saran wrap. It's really fun. It's even fun to look at the saran wrap after you took it off, because it still has the design on it, and it doesn't even rub off on your fingers or anything. It works great. It actually kind of feels like opening a Kinder Surprise, if you've ever heard of those. Easy, fun, and festive. Oh, and you can do this too. So now you know how to make these very pretty, very beautiful, and festive Easter eggs, and it doesn't take very long, and literally anybody can do it with just eggs, saran wrap, and a little bit of nail polish. So I really hope that this method helped you out, and that you have a happy, safe, and fun Easter with your family and friends. Take care. Bye! Please take a look at some of the videos currently on your screen, some of my other videos on an in-depth explanation on these eggs that I posted a few years ago, and also some other interesting content from my channel. I hope you enjoy.